MedBix Webcast is a new kind of healthcare media channel to break the silo mentality and foster interdisciplinary thinking. Our mission is to fill that gap and to create a curiosity through different lenses, tapping the passion that guided the historical figures in medicine and bringing present-day groundbreaking research to the front lines. We interview physicians and leaders in the industry about present-day healthcare challenges on our live programming. Hey, welcome to the MedBix Webcast. This is Ramana Annamaraju. I'm the host. We have a I'm waiting for the guest to join. Her name is Hetal Gor. She's a OB-GYN doctor. So we'll talk about a little bit about OB-GYN and outside of the OB-GYN a little bit, and a lot of the maternal health in the world. She worked in India. She worked in UK and here. So she can compare all the comparisons a little bit. So I'm waiting for her to join. But let me tell you, it's a very staggering statistics in the United States that the maternal mortality rate in the United States is one of the highest among the industrial nations. Is really surprising to me. With all the advances we have high risk pregnancy, all the tools available for that. We are having this kind of a problem. Is staggering. It is really shameful. People who are giving a life, we are not providing a life to them. It's in a really sad situation. Maternal mortality rate in the United States is one of the serious concern. We have to address that. So, why we are, the another thing is the maternal health is important because a woman, when I'm doing a lot of radiology, I learned one thing. All the procedures you do in radiology almost equal to the man and woman, but there are three procedures in addition to the man's procedures in the OB-GYN doctors do. OB, pregnancy, ultrasound, and then you see uterus, all those things men don't have. So they have a lot hormonal problem. They have a lot more issues as a woman. We need to put a lot more resources to that. One of the things always I was surprised about is that the ultrasound, for example, we don't have really, ultrasound is operator dependent. The pregnancy, we used to provide. I used to work in a company. I used to own a company that providing ultrasound services for poor women and in the rural Georgia. A lot of women do not have, until 7th month they don't know they have twins. So I used to provide ultrasound for them. Now I think we are getting a new kind of a technology is coming up from Silicon Valley. One of the things tomorrow I'm going to visit that headquarters, exo imaging. It is what is called that. It can recognize anomalies in the birth during the baby's structure and fetal rates and everything. It can detect. AI based system. That's really where the AI can help us. Honestly, that is where we need it. Let me check with that. I don't know why she's not coming. She's not there yet. I'm going to um, say, let me call her and see what's going on. Doctors think that the technology is easier, but sometimes challenging. Oh yeah, she's here. Okay, so Hetal Gor, she's from the New Jersey. She's practicing OBGYN doctor, and she joined just now. So I'm going to bring her. Let me explain. Let her explain her background a little bit. So Hetal, hey, welcome to the MedBits webcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so sorry. It got a little late. Came from West Coast and now back to Jersey, but thank you for having me.
Okay, thank you for joining. And let me ask you, just give me your background a little bit. Your professional and personal background a little bit, so people know about you.
Absolutely. So, as you all just heard, little brief introduction. I'm Dr. Hetal Gor. I'm a board certified practicing OBGYN in New Jersey. I was trained in University of Bombay in India. I did my medical schooling. Then I did my um, MD, DNB, DGO, FCPS, which are all the degrees of OBGYNs that one can get. A DNB is a national diplomat, which can practice anywhere in India. I did that training. Then I went to London. I did my MRCOG training. Then I came to United States. I did again the whole residency. And since 2003, I have my own practice in New Jersey. And since last 5 years, I've started what's called GYN aesthetic, which is a very upcoming branch about sexuality and gynecological causes, which are not for the looks, but these are for sexual function, for incontinence, for laxity, for vaginal atrophy. So that's kind of a GYN medical spa that I have. And so that's kind of a little bit of my background. And also I sit on a lot of different medical boards and medical organization. I'm the Board of Trustees of AAPI, which is the I think we have like more than 50,000 Indian physician in America of who are either trained in India and come here, or of any Indian origin and who are practicing in USA. I was also a regional director for that. I'm a North America chapter president for FOXY, which is OBGYN Society of India. So I sit on different boards and nonprofits as well as charity and women domestic violence group, etc.
you know, yeah, that we have nowadays all the doctors are practicing now. There is no private practices. You took a big challenge. Tell us that journey, starting your own practice, particularly OBGYN practice. What are the challenges you faced as a woman, and on the top of it, is all these corporate challenges.
Absolutely. It's a very good question. And I get asked a lot about this question because being a woman of color and the practice where I do, which is in Northern Jersey, it's a very, very I would say a fancy area where, because it's very close to George Washington Bridge, we have physicians from all over uh, this country who are trained from Yale to Harvard practicing here. And when I started practice here, people used to say, huh, somebody like you who doesn't have our accent, who doesn't look like us, you have guts to open your practice in this very rich, wealthy area with a lot of people who are educated and stuff, with local people, not too many immigrants. And I said, time will tell. I did what I do is I treated everybody with respect, how I would like to be treated. I did the best care, and within no time, my practice was one of the busiest practice in Bergen County. So it's hard work, but there are always challenges, right? Being a minority in a different area, coming from different country, there's a lot of cultural and behavioral differences we have. And also I feel like being a woman, sometimes we are not as clear about, or we are not very I wouldn't say forceful, but we are not very strong about our uh, conviction in a way that we do things just because, oh, we are a doctor, it's okay, I'm not a bread earner, I don't need to negotiate my salary, or I don't need to fight for getting the first preference for something. I think now things have changed. I think a lot of corporation and stuff have realized that actually women leader bring a lot of empathy in the organization. They are a little bit better because they are multitasker. Yes, women are a little emotional, and we do tend to make sometimes some compromise because we put ourselves in that person's position compared to corporation where a male dominated corporation, things are business, it's nothing emotional, it's not. I think women do put that kind of differences, so I feel yes, it's a little different.
Absolutely. Women have that sympathetic empathy and all those things. No question about it. That.
Right.
But, I want to ask you a general question, just then we can get into the details a little bit. So, why one thing is staggering to me, I used to do ultrasound, mobile ultrasound. I used to own a lab and I used to provide a mobile ultrasound in the rural Georgia. And then I used to go to places that they don't even have access to ultrasound. They don't even know until seventh month they have the twins. So why maternal mortality rate is increasing and access to the care is going down in the United States, such an advanced country? Tell us a little bit, what is the, as a OBGYN, what do you think of your perspective on that?
So you rightly pointed out, even though we are a very developed country as such, and we have access to most of the latest technologies, but there's a huge disparity in within a state and compared to one state to the other, from east coast to the west coast to the the middle part of the America, right? You will have the best of access in cities. So like even in say New Jersey, you have pockets of area which are amazingly advanced in the care that we give, and then you go to little rural, like you drive an hour little away and you are in a rural area where access to say a specialist is not very easy, access to, because people who we tend to kind of gather where we have access to modern technology, but when we go little rural, we as a physician also don't feel comfortable because we know what we can do for them and we don't have access to them. So why would you compromise the care? So we tend to practice in an area where there is access. So there is a big difference between a big city or urban development to the rural development for that reason. And what we get in east coast to west coast to midwest, and the central part of United States is very different. Now, is there something political in it? Absolutely. The access of care, the federal grants, the state level grants are all politically inclined, and the population which doesn't qualify for say NJ family healthcare, right? So these are like a Medicaid kind of state program or federal program. They make a little bit more money, but they are not wealthy people, right? So suppose you have a both the parents which are working, but they are doing minimal wage job, but their combined income is about where you get a Medicaid, but they're not wealthy people. So what happens? Their care is compromised, right? They can't take leave from their job to go to the clinics to see the doctors, right? All those Medicaid run clinic, they're like 9 to 5 kind of a thing where people are at work, like, but people like us who have a private practice, I have evening hours because most of my patients work during daytime, so my hours are flexible depending upon my patients. So the people who don't have access to private physicians then have to take a leave right from their job to go for medical care. Now, so number of visits goes down. They are not getting proper anti say hypertensive when they are pregnant in time, or they're not getting a better sugar control. So what happens? They are high risk population to begin with, right? We know that certain minorities, right, African American, Hispanic, they are at higher risk for blood pressure, diabetes, preeclampsia, and those people are the ones who are not getting adequate care, or they are not getting a proper intervention at times because of their socioeconomic dynamics as well as geographic area where they belong. And then those people, if they don't get the right intervention, now, like as you can see now, if once the abortions gets illegal, People who need abortion are going to get it now, but if you don't provide legally, what will happen? Illegal abortions will go high. That means somebody who's not qualified to do that will start doing it. And we have seen it time and time again. When illegal abortions are done, there's a huge increase in maternal mortality, there's a huge increase in the complications of those termination, and the lifespan and the morbidity of a woman. So there are a lot of multifactorial reason. Even though we have access to the best of the care in this country, there's a huge disparity.
You made an excellent point, Hetal, but one point is that you're saying that because of the political situations, people are going to the underground abortions
That's just
and
the
the state.
abortion part of it. What I'm saying is also politically, the grant that a federal gives to every state is also determined. So you have, say, Republican in power or a Democrat in power, but your state is from a different, political party. That also plays a role amount of money a federal gives for this Medicaid, Medicare program. So there is not just the political party's conviction into abortion or unwanted pregnancy is different story, but apart from what money comes to the state, right, for this funding for the underprivileged population also is politically determined.
It is always a case, for women's health, we really, America failed in a lot of sense. They're providing resources, particularly financial resources, because I used to mammogram, for example, we
Oh, yeah.
hardly made any money, mammograms. I used to provide the service. That's such a vital service, screening service, that hardly we make any money on it. So we're losing money one time with the mammogram service. So this is a big thing. We have to really change the
And you
system and
brought up
provide
a
help.
very important point, right? Like that's such a big disparity. You just brought it up. Prostate cancer are a very, very small percentage of
We take care of ourselves very well.
right? So, prostate cancer, just for an example, the number of men dying from prostate cancer is minuscule. And even if you have prostate cancer, is a treatable cancer. But there is such a big thing, and I'm not saying it's not important point, but what I'm saying, the amount of
Yeah.
money and resource goes for prostate awareness,
Yeah.
there's hardly anything if you see the number of cases of breast cancer and women. Like, and we always used to say, like, erectile dysfunction, as soon as it happened in men, you had so many meds coming up. Till now, they don't make anything for women, right? Women go through menopause, and there is a sudden change in at so many level in women's life. Does there a big awareness? Do anybody talk about it? No. So absolutely,
I
gender.
agree. No, I agree. No more. He's perfectly agreed. As a man, we are privileged to some extent. So that absolutely, there is a something that definitely need to be done. You lived in different continents, different countries. What one thing I saw one of your that the interviews, it's very interesting. You brought something different dimension to the care. Usually OBGYNs talk about women's health and gynecological problems and this problem, but you thought something as a different is that food as a medicine. Bought some traditions from India that he bought it. That is picking up a big time now, even among American physicians. They're recognizing food has to be treated as a medicine. And really, tell us a little bit about that you were thinking about cooking and cleaning and all those things. I cook and clean, because by the time I do that, I feel so good after that. To be honest with you, it is a mind cleaning process, in fact.
So now the buzzwords are mind body connection, right? Or lifestyle medicine has come into play. But if you look at our Indian way of living, our Indian traditional way of treatment was always that, right? The food that you put in your mouth is what you become, right? So if you have a lot of spicy food or hot food, like some people say that, like, so if you have a lot of, say, garlic and onions and this, that kind of gets your mood hyper. When you have a calming food, so same way what you put in, and our food is so well balanced. If you see an Indian meal, it's perfect. Go to north, south, east, west, doesn't matter. We have some carbs, we have some protein, we have some oil based things. So it was a very perfectly balanced meal. Now, we as a society in this western country, but also the worst part now what has happened is people in India has become so westernized. Now when I go back to India, I
Yeah.
see the number of obesity, and and I tell them, we left that junk food, we are going to healthy lifestyle, and you guys had a healthy lifestyle, and they are eating all this
Absolutely.
barbecued and deep fried. KFC is there and McDonald's is there, and they are all lining up eating. Obesity in kids in India was never heard of. We always talked about malnutrition, and now obesity has become so. Why? Because
But
we have taken up those bad things, right? So mind, right, in our Indian culture, meditation, taking downtime, taking relaxing, doing yoga kind of made that mind body connection. And I think we always talked about it, right, that the minute you take half an hour, 10 minutes for yourself to balance yourself, right, you're more productive, you're more. Even we physicians are worse people, right, because we are running, we forget our own health. Now, as I've got older, I've realized the importance of it, right? Because as an OB, I used to be up for 36 hours, 40 hours, and I still don't sleep as much as I should. I still sleep 5 to 6 hours a day, but I've gotten more conscious of my health, my mental sanity. So, doing meditation, breathing, doing activities as you brought up, right? Be it a dancing, be gardening, be cleaning. What happens? You release endorphins, your happy hormones come out, right? Your oxytocin comes out, you're much more productive, your number of hot flash goes down, your moods are better, you don't need an antidepressant, you don't need anti-anxiety. So that kind of thing is inbuilt that a lot of people now are realizing, and there's a whole separate branch of lifestyle medicine.
because do you think that the autism spectrum is anything to do with it a little bit? The process of the autism spectrum is going up in the United States. That's a bigger concern. As an OBGYN, you deal with a lot of babies. Tell us a little bit about that. Is there any connection there? Is
So
some even
autism.
in India is growing, right? Yeah.
Correct. So autism, unfortunately, there is not much that we kind of still know about it. That what causes it, we know that it is predominant in certain areas in this country. We know that it runs in some families and they are genetically more prone for it. Now, even if you're genetically prone, being in a wrong geographic area, so say we know that certain parts in the United States, if those families are in that area, the male offsprings get affected more. Now, is there an increase in autism, or we are diagnosing it better than before? We would say, oh, he's just mentally slow, or maybe there's something happened. We don't know. Either we are diagnosing it in early and we are recognizing that as an autism spectrum, or actually there is an increase. Now, my take on this is that we have made our life little convenient by having packaged food and frozen food and canned food, and then we use microwave to warm. We don't use stove or we don't use oven. Now, is those radiation? Is this freezing? Is this preservative? Is this plastic? Is this what? In the water, we if you analyze anybody's water, there is tons and tons of pollutants, there is tons and tons of small plastic particles. They have done studies where the amount of they took a blood, and the amount of pollutant we had in our system is high. Now, is that one of the reason autism is high? It's hard to say, but yes, there is one. What we know is that certain families, certain parts of the world have more cases of autism.
The Steve Jobs said that one time is all the roads end in India. They created a really, the system. He used to go Hare Rama Hare Krishna. I'm not that far from Palo Alto here.
Uh-huh.
He used to go to Hare Rama Hare Krishna temple. He used to go there 7 miles. He used to walk and
Mm.
brought the Indian food, and but going home, you can see his home. Actually, he will be when he was alive. We could see his home in outside cooking, or he was
Right.
just that open. So he always cooks one food, one curry, and then one chapati or something like that. He used to eat quite a bit of Indian food. So that way, people developed some very simple, powerful food. I learned from a couple of doctors from here. Dr. Japra is a good friend of mine here. I learned from him. These things, that one thing is that simplicity in the food is such a thing. My mother never put any powder in any one of the dishes. She always used seeds, mustard seeds, cumin seeds, all of them are. So why, we are realizing now that is something, these powders creating some kind of a, I don't know, preservatives, whatever it is. So there is a responsibility for the OBGYN doctors to talk about, because you are the protector of the next life and the
Absolutely.
present life. So
We
I
have two
think we have
lives.
to raise the voices. So do you agree?
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's why there's this big movement here also, farm to table, using fresh produce, organic, right? Everybody's doing organic. Some of it you don't need to do organic because the prices goes high. Anything that you peel away, I tell my patients, you don't need to spend money if you're going to peel away. So say banana, you're going to throw the peel. You don't, if you eat organic or not organic, doesn't matter. If you have orange that you're going to peel away, it doesn't matter. But apple, peach, plum that you're going to wash it and eat it, you should do organic. So of course people are more aware of this steroid and hormones that were used to make, grapes look bigger and lasting for weeks. And I would like, I put a regular grape outside, it's fall within 2 days, and then which is non-organic can stay for weeks. How is it possible, right? Like you make a food and you leave it outside, within a day the bread is gone, but the store made bread can last for weeks. So we don't know sometimes what we are putting in our system. So that's why farm to table concept, the organic, all this is coming because we realize, yes, convenience is one part, but then your health is also very important.
So that is what one of the arguments about that is that, so these kind of a preservatives saved millions of people in India. We had a lot of billion people to feed, so that's why one of the reasons they justified that thing. I think now we have to revisit that kind of a thesis, and then revisit that. Hetal, I tell you that OB/GYN is such an important field, because you understand the beginning of life, and then you're the along with the mother, you're giving a life to that. What you do in that, when you have this connection between those people that grew up. I had my son, when he grew up, and he's a OB/GYN doctor is in Atlanta, and she called back, so then after 20 years or 25 years, when he went to Vanderbilt, and he visited her OB/GYN doctor, and she was so happy. Camila Davis, she may be watching today. Dr. Davis, thank you. But I tell you that is a very powerful thing, that connection that they have with the patients and the children.
Absolutely. And it's a very special branch, and that was the reason I chose to become an OB/GYN. I had topped the whole University of Bombay in general surgery, so I could have taken anything from plastic to orthopedics to ophthal to eye, and everybody thought I'll do orthopedics. But I chose OB/GYN because it's a one specialty where you are a medical doctor, you are a surgeon, you are taking care of two lives at a time. And birthing, bringing a life on this earth, is such a noble field that I was very, and I still think the reason I went through 3 countries because I didn't want to give up, and I made sure my life for 10 years was difficult doing so many trainings, but I didn't give up the branch that I love. Saying that though, if you ask anybody who was your internist 5 years back or who was your cardiologist, they will not remember. But every woman and the husbands or the kids will remember their OBGYN because it's such a special part of their lives that we get involved with, right? Everybody will remember which doctor delivered and where they deliver. So it is very surreal now because so many kids that I have delivered, and I'm like aging myself now, but are coming back because now those girls are in their teenagers, they are like in their 20s, and they're
Mhm.
coming. So the kids that I have delivered, to see them as patients, and I hope maybe to deliver their kids or the grandkids of the patients of mine, will be an amazing experience. But that's what this branch is all about. We become part of the families, we become part of their lives. And I still remember days that I would go to the grocery store in my town, and half of the women would come, and my kids were little, and say, "Oh, your mom delivered this one. Oh, your mom delivered." Even now, we had a town get together, and there were so many ladies who said, "Oh, your mom has delivered us," or she's delivered
Mhm.
us. And my kids used to think, "Wow, mom, I want to grow to become you." It was such a noble
Yeah.
profession, and I still feel it's a very unique profession.
I'm glad you repeated the noble word. I'm going to present a topic on a nobility, a noble profession like you. The people are. I'm going to present that and come back and ask you about your non-profit organization work, and then American Association of Physicians of Indian Origin, which I'm really somewhat connected. So that's where I met you actually in person. So let us. let me present that topic, and then after that we come back and talk about your non-profits. I'm going to present. That's Dr. Hetal Gor from New Jersey. She's presenting a OBGYN doctor, fascinating woman. Let me I'm going to bring both of us in the side, and we'll watch together. So yes, that's Hetal Gor and me are watching together. So this is a I'm going to give you the silent heroes of the Indian rural India's healthcare system. I'm going to four people, two men and two women. I'm presenting. I'm going to talk with you that you will be surprised at some of the things. So the my village, I talk about the villages because the rural life. I'm from a small village in southern India. It's a remote village. It's like we have that we have no electricity. When I was growing up, no electricity, no running water, and my house is very small. And then that the transportation is wagons. My mother used to go in the movies with that in the wagon. I used to hang around in that wagon. We are like 50 years behind the entire India. Even India, we are behind. That kind of a village was born in, and everybody was born at home. Most of the people are not. They were not born in the. So that is my village. So the agriculture based economy. Just I want to give you just a typical rural villages in India, how it looks like in 60s and 70s. This is my village is agriculture based economy that they do plowing, same thing, and sometimes we had Russian tractors that we use to do that. That's one of the modern technology we had. Healthcare is non-existing. There's like no hospitals, no clinics. There's a local doctors. They take care the local made up doctors that they with those kind of local doctors like they're self-taught doctors. Life was born in the midwives provided a lot of care, like now that Ethel is providing that care now. That that are you there, the Ethel? I don't you're in the camera, yeah.
No, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay. So light is not there, that's why. Okay, so anyway, that's a life was born. The reason was I was talking with you, you will know about it. There's a lot of common diseases in India: typhoid, malaria, and cholera. There's a bacterial and there is a parasitic. All the infections are same usual suspects. So what deaths are basically cobra bites. In my village, the cobra bites are big. A lot of people used to die for cobra bites. So we don't have antivenom things up there. It's a very, very big. And then very suicides, very, very rare. But they used to do pesticides. They drink and commit suicide. Those are the things that they used to do if there is a death, if we talk about. But this is that's my father. He was a self-taught doctor in the village. He knows how to read English, and then he became a village doctor. He's self-taught. My grandfather was a doctor in a small village. First grandfather. He's not direct grandfather. I used to go with him in a bicycle and go to another 10 miles. And then he used to take me. My father used to take me. That's where I got interest in medical field. I'm not a doctor, but I may spend 30 years in medical field. That my father used to take me there. I saw first time X-ray there, all those things. So my father was a very influential, and he was carrying a bag. That Jonathan Fisher was talking about carrying his father's bag. He was showing same similar bag my father was carrying. Like there's a penicillin, there's a band-aids from Johnson. I don't know. The Ethel knows all those things, but she was a later generation. But my father was providing a care for those people. Actually, I tell you a story. There was a woman. I was young, 12 years old or so. I was hearing huge screams in the early morning in my village and a few blocks from there, and the whole night she was screaming, unbelievable screams I heard. And my father was the only doctor there. He doesn't have a lot of tools. He went there. We have no transportation at the time. Yeah, and my father was trying very hard to help her. And then in the morning, 5 o'clock, he came back with a grim face, and all the screams are, silenced, and she died with ectopic pregnancy. That is a sad story. And my father was really taken back in that one. He was providing care for in that village people, 2,000 people. He was going to the in a bicycle providing a care to everybody there. He's a He was a teacher also. He was teaching English and all those things in the schools. So he was a, healthcare. Now we are talking about a concierge medicine. We already doing in India. That's where diagnosis is done, and prognosis and the treatment. They're all done at the same time. It dissolves. Home care is coming back in the United States. Same thing as now. We already India practices that a long time actually. So, so that my father was, concierge medicine. How they get paid in India? My we used to do. I'm a Hindu. That's why we used to do some kind of a function. They used to provide that instead of chicken and eggs, we are vegetarian, so they provide a lot of vegetables and milk, and the same all here in 1940s and 50s. They used to do that something here too. So same thing, same thing that reimbursement concierge medicine is working at the time. Some rich people, we used to use a sliding fee scale, very interesting. So the rich patients used to provide they used to give my father gold and silver, So it is a very concierge medicine. My father is a provided care for everybody. He inspired so many people. He really is the next generation. He inspired a lot of people from my village. They became all doctors around the world. That So he was a truly. My father is a teacher, doctor extraordinaire, and my father passed away. My mother, both of them passed away, but he left a lot of legacy in the care system in small village in India. That is my first person is my father. Always I'm emotional, talking about my father. But I'm going to talk about other people also. This is a this woman was born. The story of the four people I was mentioning, the four noble people, nobility. Their name is Suligeti Narasimha. If people don't know her name, but we must know why she was born in 1920 in India. She's a Telugu origin, in fact. That it's not doesn't matter that much. But she was born in untouchable caste. So the care for the OBGYN care was a non-existent there. So it is actually, do you know that there are people in India, Africans were left in India. There during the Portuguese brought them, English brought them, some of the slaves from Africa to India. People don't know this. 50,000 African, there are different race, African race. They're there in Karnataka, in some in Gujarat, some in Andhra Pradesh. They're all in scattered, but they're all 50,000. They're left out. The story is the ship was broken and they left over there. Whatever the reasons are, they left 50,000. They're still there they're very Adivasis, the call. And there was absolutely nobody. They were ignored society. Nobody was providing a care. This woman went there and then providing care for. She became a midwife, and then 15,000 babies delivered. Envy to the Hetal. 15,000 babies she delivered, and free care she gave, no charge at all. She provided care for the most voiceless and then ignored people on the planet, on the in Indian continent. And she was never tiring. She lived almost close to 100 years. See that, she has her own seven babies. She had her
Wow.
own babies, seven of them. She died in actually she died recently, 2018. And Narendra Modi gave the that Narendra Modi, on her passing, she was given a highest civilian award, Padma Shri award. Is one of the highest civilian award was given to her. And Narendra Modi paid tribute to her, saddened by the demise of the Padma Shri Sulageti Narasimha ji. Their efforts of providing a midwifery services in Karnataka will always be remembered. Their kindness and endeared her to the poorer section of the society. My thoughts are within her family and their vast number of admirers. That she was one of the forgotten heroes of the Indian subcontinent of providing the healthcare. The third is that she's from Maharashtra. She's kind of a Maharashtrian Brahmin. She's a rich family come from. She came to the New Jersey, where not that far from Hetal staying. She moved in 1885. She moved to United States for study medicine. She's the first woman MD from the United States. She did. She was, at the time, Thomas Edison was a young guy. They were doing up. There is no electricity in any. There is no even a cars. Automobiles are not there. There's only trains and the bullock carts and horse buggies. That's all the transportation is. She came to New Rochelle, New Jersey, where the first electricity was. Thomas Edison was implementing there. She moved there first time. Then she went to University of Pennsylvania Women's Medical College. She attended, and then she got the MD in 1885. She got the MD, first MD. She did her thesis is very interesting. Uh, Hindu obstetrics among Hindu women. She wrote, that's very interesting. She wrote, if you see that, so
Yeah.
she wrote that as the importance of the think about 22-year-old woman. She came as a 19. She's 22-year-old woman. She wrote this. She's a prolific writer. Yes, the importance of the obstetrics can be measured only by the value of life and health, and both being of a paramount consequence, it is a deserving of a most careful study. She was defending Ayurveda. He's defending. She's a really natural, but at the time, C-section debate was a big one. She was defending Ayurveda. He was stuck the balance between the Western and the Eastern medicine. That what Hetal is trying to do now. So she was she's actually she was a written an autobiography. Caroline Dahl in the socialite wrote an autobiography of the Joshi, Anandi Joshi. Her name is Anandi Joshi. And then Sarah Kapit, she is a professor now. She wrote a thesis about the woman of India, these women who came to the Pennsylvania College, first college. Now is a Dexter campus right now. It's a University of Dexter campus. So she wrote a thesis about it. She gave a glowing tributes to Ananda Joshi, saying that how such a young woman can strike a balance between the Eastern medicine and Western medicine is a fascinating thesis. You should read that. It's open on the internet. In fact, so that is Anandi Joshi. She's the last and final one I'm going to talk about is another doctor. He's from my village. He's from my hometown. His name is unknown famous man. I tell you why he's so famous. He is okay. He's a tell you. Let me tell you who is this. You don't even know his name, but he did everything. First chemotherapy drug, first broad spectrum antibiotic, first strip test, first topical drugs. World Health Organization's essential list. All his medicines are still there in the World Health Organization. Nobody knows his name. Can you believe that? That is his name is he was born in a Yallapragada Subbarao. His name is a very typical South Indian name. You know, so he was born in the same town as mine. I'm from the same village, Somarama, Bhimavaram, where I'm from, where my father is from. We're all from the same area. I don't know him because he was born in 1885. So he's by the time, my father was even not even a student at the time. So he was.
I know his grandson, and he's a physician in this country, and he told me about his grandfather and this whole story.
Really, interesting. Yeah, I heard about it, but I wanted to get in touch with him. It is an important. Yeah, he did a lot of work, and I tell you, and you will be surprised how much work he did. He was failed high school, and then he married at the age of 14, and he was a medical college. He went to his father-in-law is worried about that's how he is going to take care of his wife, his daughter. So he sent him to the medical school in Madras, and he went to the IR, and he got graduated from there. The Queen Elizabeth was just a queen at the time, young woman. So he got the degree, and then Ayurveda college. He was a professor in Ayurveda college. Then he went to he came to Harvard, 1923, 100 years ago almost. He came to Harvard to study medicine. He was admitted in the Harvard Medical School. He was failed three times in high school. This guy came to Harvard. I tell you, he became a tropical medicine. He got the degree in tropical medicine. He was discriminated. His papers were hidden. He became a faculty member. He got a PhD in biochemistry, and then he is a doctor. And then His papers were stolen. They were not publishing. He was a direct discrimination. You're talking about. Ethel was talking about. He is a directly experienced discrimination. He did not go. He was not given tenure, so he moved on, and then he became. He went to the somebody recognized his talents, and the Lederley Labs hired him as a director in Pearl River, New York, not that far from the New York City. He moved to the Pearl River, New York. Um, then he was that invention. He started inventing unbelievable inventions. Alphabet, the phosphorus invention. He first this strip test, phosphorus test. It is a lot of alcoholics and diabetes people. After the calcium, phosphorus is the biggest mineral in the body. He invented the in 1940s. Think about that time, 1940s. I'm talking about Harvard. Came out of the Harvard literally labs was a small lab. Heteroson tablets, he invented heteroson tablets. These are topical drugs, particularly used for eosinophilic tropical diseases. Still is in the part of the World Health Organization list, that is, heteroson tablets. They're now testing those tablets for coronavirus, Ebola, Zika virus, and other things. Then he was third one. He's a mother of all. Methotrexate, that first chemotherapy drug for children he invented. He discovered first chemotherapy drug. Sidney Farber took it from him and then got his name. But he is the first one who gave the methotrexate drug. He invented, he discovered it, and then he saved thousands of children because of his invention. That is a mother of all the inventions, in my view. It is a really saved 1940s of children's leukemia is a big thing. There was a you cannot do surgery, anything. You have to. It's a targeted drug. That's the first targeted drug, actually. Then he did antibiotic. First, then think about that. First antibiotic drug, iromycin. What he did was he hired a guy, a slave owner son, Benjamin Dugar from Alabama. Nobody was hired the Southerns at the time, still confederated, all the Southern, South, and North of the United States. Big problem. Nobody wants to hire him. He hired Dr. Subbarao, hired him, worked for him to as a in the Lederley labs. Then they produced this first. They got it from Missouri, some kind of a grass, and then they found a broad spectrum antibiotic. Then they want to do clinical trials. These two guys, two people from South, there nobody wants to give them clinical trials. So they went to the Harlem Hospital. Harlem Hospital. Louis Wright is one of the famous black surgeon at the time. Harlem Hospital. He let him do the trials there, and is a phenomenal success. He's a runaway success of the automycin. That is called automycin at the time. That is a huge success. Then 1948 approved his drugs, and then automycin was approved, and he became a very well-known, famous doctor. And then he was given a tribute. Four Nobel. He deserves four Nobel prizes, not one or two or three or four. Four Nobel prizes. He deserves it. He could not get anyone. That is the end of the. That is a discrimination at the height of that all over the world. He really did that. Dr. Elliphagat Subbarao, he died in 1948 in Pearl River, New York, with a heart attack at the age of 53. Very young age, he died. And he is a truly remarkable. Pfizer bought the Lederley lab. Now they have a statue there of him there's a plaque about him in the Pfizer labs. So Pfizer bought him, and he's truly, one of my best friend. She's a Yasha Pillai. She's a hematology oncologist she's chief medicine of a region. She's writing a book about him, and then Hetal was telling she met she was talking with her grandson. Let me bring her. So these are the remarkable people, and I produce a T-shirts for them. And really, we cannot be ignored. All these people. These are the silent heroes. In my view, they're these are the silent heroes of our. One on a personal note, I can tell you both have the same name. My father and him came from same town, and both
helped people. All the poor people helped people. My father had a nothing. He provided care for people who had nothing. In a small southern village in India, my father Subbarao helped my village, and other Dr. Subbarao helped the world. Stories of those two women is heart touching. People come and go, but the nobility of these people. Hetal was talking about nobility. That's what it is. Who serve the silently create and shape better tomorrow for all humanity and remind the noble profession of the medicine. Thank you for watching. Let me bring Hetal to the stage. What do you think, Hetal?
Amazing stories. And yes, I knew about Anandibai Joshi and Yella Pragarata because of Anil. Anil is a friend of mine. And so many stories are there, right? Unfortunately, some do get recognized, some don't. And as you mentioned, even now, there has been some sort of discrimination, but in a very subtle way. Sometimes it's not as obvious as it used to be before. But as far as some papers, or especially in academic situation, who gets tenure, who becomes professor, all those dynamics play a big role in minority and especially women to get kind of recognition. The grants are given more when the
Yeah.
males are involved. They have, because all these professors depends on the university how much grants they can get in, right? So a lot of stuff is affected. But I'm glad that you did this today and you brought all these names to limelight, because I think it's very important. And I tell my kids that knowing the history is important. Like, you see the Jewish culture, why do they talk about what happened to them? Because they don't want certain things to be forgotten, right? They don't want a younger generation to take things for granted. So the Holocaust comes up, and I think that is very important to know your history. And that is why I think that we as Indian don't do a good job about telling the history of our own ancestors, and how a society, in a way, if you look at it, Mohenjo-daros and all, we had a sewage system, we had amazing kind of life. Like, I tell my kids, as a Brahmin, I'm a Brahmin, and we used to not cook till we took a shower,
Yeah.
right? We had to leave our shoes outside
Oh my
because,
God.
yes, we didn't have scientific reason, but they knew that by taking the germs inside, you bringing things in the house. So we leave our shoes outside. We wash our hands. We put water around our plate so that all the germs settle down before we eat. Yes, we sat down and we ate. You had a sick person in the house, they died, right? You can't enter the house after
Yeah.
cremating somebody till you took a shower. Why? Because you don't want to bring those germs. So many of those rituals had a scientific reason. So if we know that, then you're going to continue appreciating that. But when it comes from a modern medicine, like as I told you before, like farm to table, organic, or lifestyle medicine, mind body connection, we all knew this, right? Now it's a this nice word, and it's fashionable word, everybody's following it. So I think it's very important to keep reminding our younger generation our roots, where we were from, what we come from, and the intellectual power we collectively have. Luckily now things have become better in this country for sure. Like, we have so many CEOs which are of Indian origin, right? Like, so that's a great example of our ancestral upbringing. And it's called epigenetics, right? The smarter you are, the next generation, if given a stimulating environment, comes smarter and smarter. So that's kind of like an Indian epigenetics we are seeing at play now in 2024. How many CEOs in this country have succeeded, and we have done great. So bringing those four people's lives, I think, is very important to see the contribution Indians have made, because a lot of times the Western media doesn't give as much credit, right, to inventions done by Indians. And there are a lot of stories like that.
To fight the discrimination, people like you to be on the board. That's a good idea. So you're, yeah, you actually participate in a lot of boards. One of them is the American Association of Physicians of Indian origin, one of the largest ethnic physician association in this country.
Absolutely.
So
It's a
you're actually participate in a lot of boards. That's a first great start to really to bring to the right people or to the table, right?
And
Tell
you're
us a
right.
little bit about your boards and what do you do? Yeah.
So I'm involved in a lot of different things. So we'll start with the physician stuff first. So as I mentioned earlier, I started as a president. I started a Bergen Indian Medical Association, which is a association of physicians in my county of Indian origin. So we got together, and because when I started my practice in this area, I didn't know nobody. Where do I refer my babies as a to the pediatrician, or if my patient had something. So I started that networking group, and then it's been now since 2008 or 9 that it's been in existence. And then I became a regional director. Then I became a chair of all the OB-GYNs in this country. And now I'm a board of trustees of AAPI. And my goal is to bring different regions of India together in Indian physicians, because, that's something that I always felt a little bit that on the basis of religion, or on the basis of regions, on the basis of language, we kind of separate ourselves. But where do we draw the line, right? You might be from my region, but then I speak this language, and then I went to this medical school, and then this, it never ends. So I think at the end of the day, we are all Indians, we are all humans, and I strongly believe to bring
No,
that
no, no.
kind
We have all
of
common
culture
good
in
Lord.
API, and kind of move forward,
Yeah.
and to give the general public the importance of how many Indian physicians are there and what we bring to table, right? As we all know, Indians make a very, very good minority community in this country, because we all work hard, we pay our taxes, we are all educated people. All our kids are doing great. So people love, Indians as neighbors, as their friends. I remember when I was in UK, there was a story told to me by a white physician, saying that because in UK they do home visits, right? As a GP, they do home visits. So one of this white person goes to somebody's house and says, "I'm a doctor, I'm here for your visit." They said, "No, you cannot be doctor, only Indians are good doctors. You know that, I want an Indian doctor." So it used to be, people knew Indian doctors were very good, because we were trained very differently in India, and we had our knowledge was our power. So even till date in UK, they feel that Indian doctors who are trained in India are much better than doctors trained there. So we
I
have to understand our own importance, right? If we don't know our self importance, then we can't be forceful, and we can't put our foot down that this is what we are and we deserve a recognition. We are
maybe
number 2 after AMA, right? As you mentioned, we are the second largest medical association in this country, and the largest ethnic group. Of course, there are African American, blacks, Latino, all those, but Indian Medical Association is number 2, right? And we don't have much say in the policy making. So that's why that brings to my second passion, which is politics, right? If we are not involved, right? Luckily now, over last, I got involved in 2013, 2014. I started doing fundraiser, and I don't think I would have time to run as a politician, but I wanted to get people who were running, the right kind of people and their support. And I think that is important, because if you want rights of a woman, you want rights of minority, if we want to fight, we have to be involved, right? If you're not on the table, then you become the menu. So you have to work hard for that. So
no.
that's my second passion. Sorry, go ahead.
No, no, the point I was making, just I want to add to that important. I used to place doctors in 1980s here, and then I used to go to the small towns and selling, all devices and everything. I used to go to rural Georgia and Alabama, Mississippi, where the only Indian doctors are available. Nobody there. Is the even American doctors hardly you can see them. Really took the rural America to the next level is Indian doctors, no question about that. And
Correct. So
thanks to
here,
our new president, Dr. Katula. Welcome. Congratulations, Dr. Katula.
he will be, yes,
Yeah,
Satish, Dr. Satish Katula will become from July.
yeah,
But that's very important, right? Like, we have gone to the areas as Indian physician that nobody wanted to go, be it underserved, be it rural area in this country. We've gone to different places, even in UK, right? If you find Indian physician in Australia, you will find in Africa. Why?
yeah.
Because we have that talent, right? And we have helped so many people in so many different ways. So the third aspect is giving back, right? The charity, doing
There,
something.
let us talk about that. Yeah.
So I feel very passionate about it. So be it an organization where we raise money here and we send it to India, and we follow up not only education part of the, the kids where people don't have food, we give them, school gives them food, we raise money for those, we raise money to give them grants for education, but also for women, right? Because if a woman is strong and is educated, it uplifts the whole household, right? If you don't let women be uplifted, what happens? The family doesn't rise up, right? So when the women were educated, women were given grants for the businesses, women were taught banking, that don't give your money to your husband and he will drink it away and then your money is gone. No, start saving it aside, start putting it aside, use it for kids education. So we are raising all that money and sending it to India. That's, something to give back, because we all are very fortunate, number one, to have the education that we all have, and to come to different countries and have succeeded socioeconomically, education wise. We have had such a benefit, right? I think we have to pay it forward, and I think we lack that. And I learned from my Jewish friends, they come together, they help their community, they bring it up together. And I want that kind of, things in our culture, that we bring our younger people who might not be as socioeconomically well to do, we bring them up, right? If they don't have opportunities, we give them. If they were born as scheduled caste or untouchables, we bring them to our table, right? So all that we need to do. If we don't do it, who else is going to do it? Because
We are not only giving back to India, giving back to the communities here also
oh
is
yeah, so
important.
we're
Because
going.
a lot of people are struggling nowadays because of new economies.
Oh,
You know,
absolutely.
yeah, and the giving back is just one thing you mentioned is a
So
beautiful.
we do here in when I started my organization, the Bergen Indian Medical Association, we started doing health fairs here, where
Yeah,
anybody and everybody can come. Where we did free blood pressure, free blood test, free consultation, eye exams, EKG. So we've given back in this country during COVID. I did so much raising food for the, and access to the vaccines for the, underserved area, giving out the mask and all we did in during Thanksgiving. We do the blanket project, right? We go and give homeless people. So there are so many different ways we can get involved, and I actually feel more passionate about this country to give back, because this
yeah,
country has given me so much.
yeah.
And so I can't forget where I made money and where I got my education. So those two countries are very
You-
special.
You're truly a natural leader, Hetal, and you should run for an office. Totally honored and privileged to talk with you. You gave a lot of information. It is you're a truly natural leader. Thank you for coming. It's a highly privileged. It's a privilege to talk with you.
No, thank you so much for having me. I'm sorry I was on an international travel. As you know, I
Mm.
just came home at 7:30, and I had to take shower and get few things settled in the house. So sorry I came few seconds late, but thank you for having me. And I love this. I think the more we bring our ideas and our talks and we talk to other people, I think they understand our culture better, they understand where we come from, and our younger generation get inspired. So I mentor a lot of kids. I love to, get involved during, month of March usually is a women's month, and I go around talking with different organizations about women leadership, why it is important. I know we are short of time, but I did, like, I'm involved with this woman entrepreneur group now, because Indian women are not as savvy, right? Starting big businesses and getting helping each other women, right? I want the women to come together and help each other out, and so there are a lot of things I get
You
involved
can come back and talk about it. You are truly a natural leader, and no questions about it. Just stay, hang on for a few minutes after the broadcast. I'll talk with you a couple of minutes, and
in.
after that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you for all watching. Good night.
Good night.
Retelling their stories through our patented designs that can be worn on scrubs, t-shirts, printed on conference bags, and endless other promotional materials. Daily Wear for Medicine is the first ever of its kind to create curiosity in medicine through visual art. We at MedBricks are celebrating unsung heroes of the past who made enormous contributions to the field of medicine through our unique campaign called Daily Wear for Medicine. You can wear it, carry it, and give it.